Chapter 9. Into the Unknown. Thousands of feet below the sea ice, Stingray slowly nosed its way along the winding canyon. Troy and Phones kept anxious eyes on the sheer black walls visible in the submarine's headbeam. In places, there were only a few feet of clearance. But for the last 10 miles or so, they had encountered no obstacles which might have forced them to rise out of the canyon.
Nerve-wracking, huh? You don't realize what a boon scanners are till you're forced to navigate without them.
You could say that again, Phones, but it can't be much further to the main landmass. Guess the next 10 minutes decides whether we go on or...
Troy!
Well, Atlanta?
Those water samples you told me to take, they're coming through with a high freshwater content now. Almost 70%, I'd say.
Good. That can only mean there's water flowing off the land into the canyon. Could be our river.
Over 90% now, Troy.
Great. That shows it's entering the sea with some force, forming a current. Come on up, Atlanta. Guess you're not needed down there anymore.
This must be it, Troy.
Sure looks that way.
Guess it could be ice water seeping through from the glaciers, Troy. Maybe we'd better not start counting our... Oh, what is it, Marina?
Marina pointed ahead, her face glowing with excitement. As usual, she had seen something which their surface-tuned eyes at first could not see. Soon, however, they saw it for themselves. Into the light beam, some 50 yards ahead of the submarine's prow, a black cliff was rising up sheerly into the darkness of the sea above them. Troy cut the motors. As their low whine died away and the deathly stillness settled down on the cabin, he was sure he could hear someone's heart thudding. His own mouth had gone dry with expectation. This was the primeval continent of Antarctica, the depository of 1 million secrets that scientists had been trying for years to wrest from it by probing into the ice cap above with their sensitive instruments. But after that first thrill at the sight of the cliff, Troy felt disappointment. He hoped to find the canyon cutting through the landmass as a ravine cuts through a mountain on dry land. This solid wall seemed to block off the canyon completely, and at its foot, huge boulders were jumbled.
Guess my hunch was right. An earthquake blocked it way back.
But the fresh water, it must come through somewhere.
She's right, Phones. Take over. I'm going out in a Sprite to take a look round.
I'll go with you.
Could be there's a hole or a fissure.
There's just got to be. You said yourself it must be coming through with some force to form a current over 90% fresh water.
Sure, but I guess it could be coming over the edge like a waterfall. If it was colder than the sea, it would sink to the bottom.
They explored the base of the cliff, but found no opening through which a stream of water could have come. As Troy was about to head back in the Aquasprite, he saw Marina swimming towards them from Stingray. She signaled to him and pointed to the huge pile of boulders. For a few moments, Marina swam around them. Then she turned eagerly, raising her hand to her lips as though drinking from a glass.
Troy, she's telling us the fresh water stream is coming from behind the boulders.
Guess she can tell if anyone can. Hey, the crazy little fool.
She's diving under those boulders.
Something might have made its home under there. Phew, she's coming back out.
Oh, look at her gestures. She's found it, Troy. She's found where the river comes out.
There must be a tunnel back there. We'll have to shift those boulders.
How about trying a Sting missile blasting a way through?
Too risky. Might bring down more rock than it cleared. Guess we'll have to haul those boulders with a grapnel.
It was a laborious task. Most of the boulders must have weighed tons, and fixing the grapnels to their huge bulk in such a way that they would not slip took time. Troy and Marina handled that chore, while Phones and Atlanta did the hauling in Stingray. Troy's spirits rose when the clearance of the boulders gradually revealed a tunnel-like opening at the base of the cliff. When the task was finished and he and Marina swam into the opening, he was elated. He swam up the tunnel for some distance. Far from narrowing, as he feared it might, it widened considerably in places, and after they had gone several hundred yards, it opened out into a sort of cavern, whose roof was beyond the range of his headlamp's illumination. He signaled to Marina, and they swam back to Stingray to make their report in the airlock.
It's big enough to take Stingray. We'll get her up as far as we can. If things get tight higher up, we can dock her in that cavern and go on to the sprites.
I'm keeping my fingers crossed and we can stick to Stingray. I'm going to feel a heap happier sitting behind the sights of a Sting missile, Troy.
Headlights cutting through the intense blackness of the under-ice world, Stingray slowly maneuvered into the tunnel. In places, it was so narrow that Stingray's hydroplanes and stabilizing fins almost scraped the walls, which had been worn as smooth as tiles by the ceaseless flow of water through countless centuries. Presently, when the tunnel widened, there was little risk of damage, and luckily there were no bends to negotiate. At last, the super sub emerged into the big cavern Troy had scouted. Water filled it to the arching roof. They were far below sea level. Soon, they spotted the opening through which the subterranean river entered the cavern from the upper levels. But here, they met their first check.
That hole won't take Stingray. Looks as though we'll have to take the sprites already.
Hold on. That doesn't look like solid rock to me. Take a look, Marina.
She swam out and examined the opening, then darted inside, a little to Troy's alarm. But she was soon out again, signaling to him in their code.
Silt. She reckons we can shift enough of it to get through. We'll try the pressure hoses. Take over, Atlanta. Phones and I will handle this.
The two wasps swam out with the powerful hoses uncoiling from the drum behind them. Troy nudged the silt bank with the nozzle of his hose, and it crumbled away. Some kind of a feedback current must have caused the silt to settle there, and over the centuries it had built up like a sandbar at the mouth of an estuary. He signaled to Atlanta, peering out at them from the control cabin of Stingray, and switched on the pumps. Solid jets of water struck the soft silt with the force of twin battering rams. Rapidly the hole enlarged, and the swift-flowing current of the underground river swept the dislodged silt out into the cavern. Soon the opening was cleared, and Atlanta wound in the hoses. Troy took over the controls again, and Stingray edged its way through the opening into the tunnel beyond.
Guess that settles one thing. No one could have come this way before us with anything bigger than a sprite.
You mean that rules out a terrorfish?
Yeah, unless there's another way in somewhere. But I guess it wasn't silted up thousands of years back.
So Pharassalon's craft could have been swept out this way.
Reckon so.
The tunnel was rising fairly steeply now. Troy wondered how far they would have to penetrate into the landmass at this gradient before climbing above sea level. If, as he suspected, the source of the river was somewhere in the mountains beyond the ice sheet, there was a climb of thousands of feet ahead of them yet. With Stingray forced to go so slow, that passageway seemed interminable. But it remained wide enough for him to navigate Stingray without undue anxiety. There were few signs of life down there. Occasionally, worm-like creatures with trailing appendages that seemed to serve them instead of eyes squirmed past. Now and then, what looked like monster crabs scuttled away into the darkness behind the range of the light. Their ancestors had probably existed here back in prehistoric times, Troy told himself, when dinosaurs roamed the earth. On and on they bored through the bowels of the frozen continent. Troy and Phones took it in turns to handle the controls. The constant need to be alert was a strain, accustomed as they were to having the help of scanners. Troy was thinking they must be well beneath the mountains when he saw another cavern open out ahead of them. This one was huge. Stingray's beam failed to break through to the far side. Slowly, they circled it just above the level of the tunnel from which they had come.
It must be over 200 yards across. No sign of an inlet. The water can't come from below, not this far down, so it must come from above. Blow on, phones.
The stern of the super sub tilted, and it rose into the darkness, spiraling, so that its powerful lanterns scanned the black walls for signs of an opening. Up they went at a steady 3 knots, finding nothing to impede their progress.
Looks like a gigantic borehole to me. We've been rising for about 15 minutes, and there's no sign of a break in these walls.
Reckon it could be that Lake Avernus mentioned in Pharassalon's tale. If it goes down this deep, it sure would have seemed bottomless to those guys.
Could be. Pharassalon logged 3,000 feet before he passed out.
Ah!
What's the matter?
Out there!
Take over.
Something swimming out there. It was horrible, Troy.
Pull yourself together. You've seen enough underwater monsters.
It wasn't a fish or anything, Troy. It was more like a human figure.
An aquamphibian?
They're horrible enough to scare anybody, no matter how often you see them.
It wasn't an aquamphibian, Troy. I'm all right now. But this thing swam right up to the window and pushed its face against it, and it scared me stiff.
A human figure? What was it like?
I didn't have much chance to take stock of it, Troy. It was only a second, and I was completely shocked. But it seemed black and hairy, like a great shaggy dog. And its face! I thought aquamphibians were bad enough. It had long, sharp eye teeth like fangs. Oh!
Marina?
She didn't see it, Troy. She was looking out of the window on the other side. But Penelope saw it. Guess she was as scared as I was, Troy. You do believe me? You don't think I was imagining it?
I believe you.
Looks like something up there, Troy.
Could be a ceiling. See how our beam's splashing against it? How far do you reckon we've climbed up this borehole, or whatever it is, Phones?
Around 5,000 feet.
Then we could be mighty near sea level. Cut the motors. We'll let the buoyancy take us the rest of the way. Stand by to flood Q. We don't want to hit that ceiling.
A few moments later, Stingray broke through the surface of the subterranean lake. The domed ceiling of the vast cavern was only some 20 feet above Stingray's periscope. Troy turned the vessel, slowly probing the darkness with the headlight. Almost all the way around, the black water, still rippled by Stingray's surfacing, lapped against smooth, dark rock walls. Only at one point was there a break. A turbulent river boiled from the mouth of a low tunnel. Narrow shelving beaches flanked the tunnel, dropping away sheerly into the depths.
Sea level, I guess, but we could still be pretty deep down under the mountains.
Reckon Pharassalon's craft could have come out of that tunnel, Troy?
Maybe, but Stingray won't make it.
You aim to go on then?
Sure, I guess we're not at the end of the trail yet.
Aye, aye. Are you gonna use the sprites?
No, we'll use swim gear.
You two aren't planning to go this alone, are you?
Well, I was thinking that maybe you would be safer in Stingray.
Safer? When you might be lost in the bowels of Antarctica with no means of communicating with us? No thanks, Troy. Let's stick together from now on.
Atlanta's right. With no radio, we'll be wondering all the time what's happened to the others if we split up.
Okay. All right, let's leave nothing to chance. Phones, we have our atomic guns. Atlanta and Marina have harpoon guns. Knives, swim gear, air cylinders, headlamps, first aid kit, emergency ration packs.
I guess there's just one thing we've overlooked.
What's this mesh? And what's it doing in our headgear?
I've got a hunch we may need these. My patent force screens. They're wired up to the batteries. Anyone trying to use a hypnotic ray on us will be disappointed. but I got a special one with its own power pack for Marina, because she won't be using swim gear.
Nice work, Phones.
Not exactly fashionable as headgear goes, but I'm glad you thought it up, Phones, after what happened to Troy.
Troy led the way out of the airlock. When they landed on one of the beaches, they found the sand firm and smooth. It seemed to extend quite a way into the tunnel from which the river rushed. Before starting off into the tunnel, Troy looked back at Stingray. In the darkness of the subterranean lake, the shimmer of the forescreen was more intense than it had been back on the surface of the ocean. Troy disliked leaving his vessel with no one in charge, but they had to stick together. At least if anything happened to Stingray, they still had a chance of getting back to the outer world.
Troy!
Phones was pointing to something in the sand at his feet. Troy and the women joined him and stared open-mouthed at what they saw. The imprints of feet in the sand led up from the water and vanished into the darkness of the tunnel. They were the size and shape of a human foot, the foot of a heavy man. But there the resemblance ended. There were only 4 toes, splayed and regular in size, with what looked like the mark of a talon at the end of each. There was the impression of webbing between each toe. It was the spore of an aquatic animal, with a foot like a human being's.
That thing I saw in the water down there, it must have made these tracks.
Reckon that thing, whatever it is, can't be worse than an aquamphibian. And there's 4 of us.
There might be others. Still want to come along?
We'll see it through together, Troy.
Okay, single file. I'll take the lead. You bring up the rear, Phones.
With a familiar tight feeling in the pit of his stomach, he walked into the tunnel, into the unknown.